I got to tell you, I was really thinking about this, love and history. Montana to Rice is kind of that symbolic, like that's the greatest.
Yeah, the duo.
I got to tell you, I think Kelce and Mahomes, statistically speaking, both in the regular season and the playoffs, it's better.
It's That Football Show here on KC Sports Network. Tucker Franklin hanging out with Matt Verderame on this July edition of That Football Show. We have made it to the month where there is NFL football. Super exciting, even though it is the last day of the month. It is still super exciting that there is some resemblance of NFL football this month, if you want to call it that, Matt.
3 weeks away. 3 weeks away. Yeah, we're recording on June 30th because I'm headed to New York for a 14-hour excursion on Tuesday, and I may be in traction by Wednesday. But yeah, so by the way, when Trey Smith signs on July 1st, just know that A, that's why we didn't talk about it, and B, you're welcome. Because it is guaranteed to happen while I'm in I'm going to be in like Toledo, Ohio, and find out that he signed. That'll be great. Guaranteed. Would put money on it. But yeah, we have, by the time this podcast airs, we have made it to July. We got July 4th coming up here in a few days. Excited for all of that. Chiefs, July 21st is when they report to training camp. And then July 22nd is their first practice. So we are rapidly approaching real football, which is good for the Chiefs as they try to get their fourth straight Super Bowl. Never touched that in my lifetime. Mm-hmm. It's good for all of you because you don't have to listen to Tucker and I talk about fanatics and filibuster with whatever ungodly crap happens during the week.
Yeah.
It's going to be more actual football on that football show, although no one's really complaining. So that's good, but I figure at some point people will start. So
yes, they will. Again, thank you to our partners, Ben Holiday, Bourbon, Bourbon, Holiday Distillery, for making the show all possible. Shout out to them. We love the fine folks there. Yeah, there's a lot going on. Real football is rapidly approaching it, as we touched on. The takes keep getting crazier and crazier when it comes down to it, and that's why I get excited about when real football gets here, Matt.
I don't have to hear these people anymore.
Because I don't have to hear all of this bullshit that people are talking about, where I got Twitter pulled up on the other screen over here is what we do as it rolls through here. And I keep seeing the top 25 or the 2025 top 10 offenses. I believe you tweeted it a little bit like that. That graphic is still making the rounds. And every time I see it, it just a little triggers me a little bit.
Chiefs fans are like super pissed about it because the Chiefs aren't on there. Like I think that's insane, but the Eagles not being on there should be said if you want as a Chiefs. Okay, fine. The Eagles are on that list. Did they stop playing football? Like that might be the best offense in the league right now.
Right. And
to have Arizona's 5th, who the hell's playing the Cardinals? And like, oh no. I mean, they're fine. Like they're fine offensively, but you're not, call me when Marvin Harrison becomes the guy that we all thought he was going to be his first year. And maybe he will become that. Fine.
Absolutely.
But he's not yet. It would have been hilarious if they had thrown like the Colts on that list.
It'd be like, okay, this is a trolling move.
Yes. I did appreciate, I woke up this morning and I sat down, turned on the old Apple TV, and I went to YouTube, as one does when one can't do anything but walk at this point. Right. And the first video that, for reasons I still don't understand, was recommended for me was NFL on ESPN. Is Mahomes still the best quarterback? It's just 12 minutes. And then like in a little type on the title card, it's like, Allen? Lamar? It's like, guys, listen, believe me, I get it. I'm not in a position to lecture anybody. Tucker and I sit here for an hour and a half, twice a week, and talk about all kinds of random shit. I mean, we've got Bozo and beef for the week going. And that's going to continue during the season. But like, there's all kinds of stuff. I get it. You got to fill time, and that's cool. Like, you're trying to be entertaining. I understand all that. But at the same point, like, you're ESPN, you have infinite capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
Go do a story on somebody. Like, go, break down the whiteboard with like, hey, look, this is something that was a real trend last year. Like, teach somebody something instead of just sitting here and doing the absolute. I mean, how even we haven't sat here and been like, "Is Mahomes still good?"
Right.
I mean, it's so lazy, and I'm not just getting on ESPN because look, it's everywhere, it's all over the place, which is to your point. But oh my god, like and then you do get like those lists. I think what was it? And correct me if I'm wrong, please. But it's Pro Football Network, right? They put out
Pro Football Network.
Let's just stop. Like if you're gonna put out something like that, just honest to God, tell everybody the site's going dark for a week. You'll do less damage. Like it's fine, right? Like I don't understand how anybody puts that list together and it's like that's good, and then on top of that, the editor is like that's also good. I'm good. Like I handed in something that I thought was perfectly fine at Sports Illustrated that we're doing for a project I can't publicly comment on. It'll be in about 3 weeks. And before I jumped on, I saw my emails and I'm just getting lit up by my editor with like comments in the margin. Like, well, give an example for this. What do you thought? And like, he's completely right. Like he's 1,000% right. And that's why he's really good at what he does. And I'm going to go back in as the writer who had, listen, I wrote 6,000 words. Like you're going to have 12 blind spots and 6,000 words. That's what he's there for. My point is he didn't just rubber stamp it. I was like, okay, then. And like, it would have been fine. Like there's nothing like egregiously wrong with it. But the point is you're putting this out for public consumption. Like have some pride in trying to get around. And look, it's a list. People are always going to bitch and moan that this team's too high. And that's, but like, you can't do a power rankings and have Carolina 6th. You know what I mean? Like, some rhyme and reason behind some of this stuff. And if you do that list, the Eagles and the Chiefs are on the top 10 offenses in football. Like, yeah, I'm sorry, man. Because for people who haven't seen it, who were the top 10 teams?
Yeah, sorry, I was scrolling a little bit. I do have it in front of me. It's going to take me a second. The number 1 was the Detroit Lions. Number 2 was the Ravens. 3 was the Bucks. 4 the Bills, 5 the Cardinals, 6 Commanders, 7 Bengals, 8 Packers, 9 Niners, 10 Falcons.
But yeah, how Atlanta? What?
Right. Atlanta and Arizona are the two that I'm just like, huh? And maybe even the 49ers. I'm just like, that doesn't
tell you. I didn't even argue about the Packers.
Yeah, the Pack. I mean, yeah,
they're fine. They're not a bad offensive team, but it's not like I'm like, oh my god, like, how are you going to stop Green Bay? I mean, they're good on it. I got to tell you, I know that you have the second-year quarterback, and I'm just super high in the team. I admit this out front. Minnesota, that team's got weapons for days. Yeah. You got O'Connell calling the plays. Yeah, I mean, geez. I mean, you don't have the Eagles on there. You don't have Kansas City on. Are the Rams on that list?
The Rams are not on that list.
That's unbelievable. Like, you have Cooper Kupp, Kyron Williams, Matthew Stafford, Devontae Adams, Tyler Higbee, and Sean McVay's calling the plays. The Rams didn't make it? Oh, my God. And by the way, the Bills are definitely top 10 offense. I'm not saying they're not. Mm-hmm. Certainly are. The Chiefs and the Eagles have and so do the Rams, actually, wildly better weapons than the Bills do.
Yeah.
The Bills, if Khalil Shakir, who I like, who's a very good slot receiver, if he was on the Chiefs in a typical passing play, Kelce included, what would Shakir be option-wise? Like option number what on the Chiefs offense? On just a typical 11 personnel passing play.
Oh, gosh. Not going to be more than Rice or more than probably 4.
Yeah, you'd be the 4th option on that.
Yeah.
And like, if you really want to argue 3, because like, hey, Worthy's got to prove fun, but like, Worthy's more dynamic than Khalil Shakir is. Rice is clearly better. Kelce, even in his current state, is a bigger threat. Like,
yeah.
Joshua Palmer, Keon Coleman would be the 5th receiver on the Chiefs. Like, I mean, I'm not even exaggerating. If you really, and I'm not including Kelce, by the way. Like, okay, so maybe if I'm not including Kelce, he'd be the 4th receiver on the Chiefs. Because, like, he's ahead of Juju, and, like, we'll see what Royals is. Like, fine.
For sure, yeah.
He'd be the number 4 receiver, and it's not even an argument.
Yeah.
Joshua Palmer would also be the number 4 receiver. And again, they're absolutely top 10 offense, because Cook's awesome, and they got a great line, and Allen is the MVP. Yeah, but, like, yeah, that list, there's a lot going on with that list. I don't fully understand what's happening.
There is. That's been one of them that has been making the rounds. I saw one before we started. I was reading it off to you. It was a build the best quarterback according to ChatGPT, and Chiefs fans are taking exception to what ChatGPT is saying. Like, look, to be fair, I don't really love the maybe intrusion of AI into our society, but if it tells me that Patrick Mahomes isn't one of the 5 best quarterbacks, I'm not losing sleep over it. But some people are getting pretty worked up about these receipts, and obviously there's accounts like dedicated to keeping receipts for the Chiefs, but nevertheless, we're here, and we'll talk about some actual football here fairly soon. I do want to talk about, Matt, before we dive into the tweet that you sent out over the weekend, stat from Patrick Mahomes, which I thought was really interesting, and kind of dive into that a little bit, the playoff performances of Patrick Mahomes. Got to talk about the KCSN golf tournament that we got coming up, KCSN Foundation Golf Tournament. Go to givebutter.com/KCSN Golf. I believe I just got a text a little bit ago from the boss man. I think we're down to only 10 teams remaining. So if you want to get your team in, 10 more teams remaining to get into the KCSN Foundation Golf Tournament. That is on Monday, August 18th, Creekmore Golf Course, Raymore, Missouri. Beautiful course, beautiful clubhouse. Make sure to come hang out with us. Givebetter.com/KCSN Golf. You can get all your information there. Go check that out. That is just one little housekeeping note I needed to take care of before we fully dive into talking a little bit about the Chiefs. And Matt, you and I kind of talked to you about this before we started the show. It feels like we've talked a lot about this offense recently. It seems like the offense is kind of the one that is taking up the headlines, taking up what people are occupying their thoughts about in this preseason, and the defense hasn't been talked a whole lot about. But when you have a stat like you did you tweeted out on June 28th. Sorry, can't read.
Yep.
This is from you, from your Twitter account.
It is from me, yes.
Yeah, wild stat I came across while doing some research. Patrick Mahomes has played in 16 AFC playoff games. That's almost a full season, by the way. He's thrown 36 touchdowns against just 3 interceptions. How impossible is that? Consider Justin Herbert threw 4 interceptions in 1 playoff game last year. I saw that stat. I think I was on the ground floor. I mean, you got some pretty decent traction on that. 107,000 views. That's pretty good motion on that one. I saw that early on the ground floor, and I was blown away. 36-3 in a touchdown interception ratio is actually insane.
And all the picks came in the 2021 playoffs. He threw 2 of them against Cincinnati and 1 of them against Pittsburgh. So otherwise, he's not throwing a pick since any other year.
So since 2021, he hasn't thrown a pick in the playoffs.
Correct. Well, yeah, the AFC playoffs.
In the AFC playoffs, yeah.
Yes, correct. And somebody said to me, and I can't for the life of me picture the one he threw against Pittsburgh. Actually, it's a lie. Now I can. All 3 were off deflections.
Huh.
So he's never thrown a pick in the AFC playoffs where he just threw it right at some guy. Ever.
Wow.
Yeah. Doesn't mean all 3 were great throws, but yeah, they were all deflections. And the reason, so I'm working on a column for SI that just happens to involve Mahomes quite a bit. And I was going through it. And I'm like, this guy, this is impossible. I mean, this is 36 touchdowns to 3 picks, as you point out, basically in a full season, 16 games. That's I think sometimes because he's so great and he's done so many firsts and so many, they always call him LeBron stats on New Heights, where it's just this, that, and the other. And Mahomes has never, been matched in this. But he really, it's almost impossible to do what he's done. Where and I had a handful of non-Chiefs fans, but what about the Super Bowl? And it's what about him? He's 3-2 in those games, and the 2 games he didn't win, they basically had me out there blocking.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I mean, yes, the Super Bowl is definitely, if there's any little pin prick you want to point to, he has never had a game in the Super Bowl where he's just been unbelievable. Although I would argue that when they beat Philly, he was pretty damn good in that game.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he hasn't had the other 4 games have ranged from mediocre to flat bad for him. I'd also argue that's what happens when you play for the best defensive teams we've seen in the last 25 years. But and you don't block at all. But it's I mean, he in the AFC playoffs. You're playing the best teams that are out, and it's not like they've been in a conference where it's been some bum fest. I mean, it's been Buffalo, and it's been Baltimore, and it's been Cincinnati. It was New England at the beginning. 36 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Like Justin Herbert threw more picks than that in one game last year in the playoffs. I mean, that is impossible. 3 picks and 16. And it's not like he's one of these quarterbacks who's just thinking and dunking and protecting the ball and oh God. I mean,
right.
Especially earlier on, he was just gunning it all over creation. 3 picks it's impossible.
I was pretty blown away by that. And you remember when Patrick Mahomes was coming out, that the big question mark for him was oh, is he going to just turn the ball over? Is he going to throw so many interceptions? And last year was a year where I think was out of the norm when it came for Patrick Mahomes, where he did turn the ball over every game before the bye week. Pretty much, he had at least 1 interception
first 9 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, and then after the Buffalo game, he threw 2. Didn't throw any the rest of the year.
Right,
and that's always been something he's been pretty good at. Has been keeping track of the ball, keeping care of the ball. Obviously, when his receivers don't actively try to sabotage him in that regard, like Canary's Tony giving the football to
when they're not appearing to be going full Malik Beasley on the game. Yes,
wild story, by the way.
Dude, have you seen some of the clips on Twitter, bro? He's gonna have a hard time beating the allegations.
It's him and Michael Porter, or not Michael Porter Jr., Jonte Porter. Yeah. Mizzou May, by the way. Shout out Jonte Porter. Just you see he left the game with an eye injury, and he had the under that day.
Yeah. There's one clip where he is sprinting coast to coast to lay in a ball to cut the lead from 9 to 7, and it makes sure they cover the spread. I haven't seen a guy try it hard on a layup in the finals. It was unbelievable. Listen, there are allegations at the moment. I get it.
Yes, alleged. We should be clear. Allegedly,
it is. There is some odd circumstantial stuff out there with Malik Beasley. To put it that way. But yes, as far as Kansas City, listen. The only thing that I think is more impressive than what Mahomes has done in the playoffs is what Kelce's done in the playoffs. And Kelce, I was thinking about this the other day. It's the most impressive playoff performer of all time. It's not a quarterback. I don't think it's close. If you look at his numbers, since Mahomes has been the quarterback, and by the way, in his first 4 playoff games out of Mahomes, he was also fantastic in 3 of them.
Yeah.
With Mahomes, 7 catches, 108 yards, 3 catches for 23 against New England, and a touchdown. 10 catches, $134, and 3 touchdowns. 3 catches, 30 yards, 6 catches for 43 yards and a touchdown in the Super Bowl. He beat the Niners. Then he just goes into what is another stratosphere. 8 catches, 109 yards and a touchdown. 13 catches, 118 yards and 2 touchdowns. 10 catches and 133 yards. 5 catches and 108 yards and a touchdown. 8 catches, 96 yards and a touchdown. 10 catches, 95 yards and a touchdown. 14 catches, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns. 7 catches, 78 yards, 1 touchdown. 6 catches, 81 yards, 1 touchdown. 7 catches, 71 yards. 5 catches, 75 yards, 2 touchdowns. 11 catches on 11 targets, 116 yards and a touchdown. 9 catches, 93 yards. 7 catches, 117 yards and a touchdown. Then last year he finished on a sour note, 2 for 19 and 4 for 39. Yeah. That is impossible. He had a stretch where he caught a touchdown pass in 6 straight games and 8 out of 9 in the playoffs. With Mahomes, he's played, he's played, including all the Super Bowls, 21 games in the playoffs. In 21 games in the postseason, he has 155 catches for 1,784 yards and 19 touchdowns, catching 81.6% of his targets.
Insane.
That is impossible to do. You would struggle to do that in practice. I got to tell you, I was really thinking about this, love and history. Montana to Rice is kind of that symbolic, that's the greatest.
Yeah. The duo.
I got to tell you, I think Kelce and Mahomes, statistically speaking, both in the regular season and the playoffs, it's better. I think it's the greatest combination of all time.
Yeah.
I really do. And I don't say that lightly. I love history. I'm very aware of what these guys all did. Like, Jerry Rice's greatest player, in my opinion, in NFL history, just comparatively to what he did, it's compared to other guys. Now, listen, you could certainly make the case for Rice. I mean, Rice led the league in touchdown catches 4 years out of 7 with Montana.
Yeah.
4 years out of 6. I'm sorry, 4 years out of 6. You led the league in receiving 3 times. Like, you could absolutely make the argument. The argument, though, I would say, though, is like with Montana in the postseason, he had 2 unbelievable postseasons. In fact, like hilarious postseasons. Like, he had 3 games in 1988. He had 409 yards and 6 touchdowns.
Holy cow!
And then polished that off the next year with 317 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Yeah,
like he was absurd. The other 4 years in the playoffs, 45 yards, 48 yards, 28 yards, 122 yards.
Interesting.
Like, not as dominant as you might think. Other than, again, 2 years that speak for themselves. But I would argue, Kelce and Mahomes now have been together for what? They've been together for 7 years with Mahomes as the starter, 8 coming up here. I would really argue they're the greatest passer to pass catching duo ever.
Yeah.
And anyone who says Brady and Gronk, just know that they're not serious people.
Yeah. So remember last week when we were talking about like the numbers for Brady, how they were talking about his weapons, how we got a bunch of Brady stands riled up because we talked about how Mahomes had guys who actively dropped the football and people got upset. I pulled up the playoff receiving yards, all-time receiving yards leaders in the playoffs. And I was like, I know Travis Kelce's close. He didn't quite get to the top. He's still about 200-ish yards or just under 200 yards shy of Jerry Rice's record for receiving yards in the playoff. Super impressive. Do you know who number 3 and number 4 are?
Postseason receiving yards?
Mm-hmm.
Probably somebody who's just there all the time.
Kind of.
Okay. Is Marvin Harrison one of them?
Marvin Harrison is not one of them. Where is he at?
Okay.
Oh.
I would have thought that might have been one of them. Okay. Let me think. 3 and number 4.
Harrison's 26, by the way.
He's 26th in postseason receiving yardage?
That's what it says here.
Really? Oh, he's atrocious in the playoffs. They were in the playoffs every season.
Yeah, it says 833 yards is what I have for Marvin Harrison down at.
Man, wow, that's surprising.
Reggie Wayne is higher than he is.
I was just going to, okay. I'll tell you, he wasn't in the playoffs a lot, but when he was there, he was unbelievable. Fitzgerald?
He's not there. Number 3 and number 4 are Julian Edelman and Rob Gronkowski. So,
okay, that makes sense. Hell, they were in there 1,000 times, so.
Yes. So I do love the Brady stands coming in saying that Brady also had no help. But meanwhile, he has the number 3, number 4 all-time receiving yards leaders in playoff games or career playoff yardage of all time. Number 5 is Michael Irvin, by the way, just to kind of round out that top 5. That Super Bowl, I told you the other day, I watched that Super Bowl that the Cowboys played against the Bills. He went off in that game, man. I saw that. I was like, oh golly, wasn't a lot of things going right for the Buffalo Bills in that football game, but Cowboys also didn't let a lot of things go right for the.
Well, you turn over 9 times. Things aren't going to play out well. Yeah, usually.
A little tough, a little brutal. But yeah, no, I do think that like between Mahomes and Kelce, I really do. I mean, think about this: if they go to the Super Bowl again this year, Matt.
Yes.
Let's just say that they go, but they don't win it. Like that has to still mean something for them to go all the way to the Super Bowl for a 4th straight time. I know the Buffalo Bills did it in the 90s. They didn't win any of them. If you go to 4 straight, you win half of them. That has to mean something for both of these guys' legacies in terms of how many playoff games they played together, how many Super Bowl appearances they had. And like in this 4-year stretch, they're playing essentially extra season of football, over an extra season.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Anytime you get to a Super Bowl, definitely enhances things for you. I would argue now that they're the greatest combo, like I was saying. But I think, look, at this point, Kelce, I know right now we live in this world where it's like, well, is it Kelce? Is it Gronk? I got to tell you, in 30 years from now, nobody's going to argue this.
Correct.
Kelce's the best tight end. I mean, Kelce's put up numbers that are just a joke. I mean, I don't know, even in today's day and age of passing the ball and all the rest of it, like, if he's going to be top for a very long time. I mean, it's absurd what the guy's done. I mean, you were talking about postseason yardage. What was the difference between him and Gronk? I bet it's sizable. You know, but not, man, I think Kelce, I think his legacy at this point, I mean, unless, you know, they win another one, but even it is what it is. The guy's part of a dynasty. He's won all these Super Bowls. Like, I really think at this juncture, it's just about Mahomes. Like, it really is. Like, at this point, everything they do going forward, I guess you could argue Andy too. Like, Andy, yeah. But like in terms of play, because like defensive tackles like Chris Jones, Kelce, they're not regarded the same way. Like how important titles are, right? Like nobody's looking back at Larry Fitzgerald and going, "Bum, never did it."
Yeah,
you know, like it's not fair for quarterbacks, but that's just the truth. Like, if you bring up Dan Marino within 30 seconds, somebody's going to be like, "Yeah, I can't believe he never won one."
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like it's just the way it is. Where somebody brings up like Thurman Thomas, you're not like, "Damn," you know, just you're not. It's different. At this point, it's about Mahomes' legacy and like how close can he get or ever somehow eclipse Brady. That's you've been to 5, you've won 3, which is, by the way, is exactly what Brady had done through 5. Like, can you, I mean, everyone that he gets to now matters. You know, I mean, I don't know that he's got to win 7. You know, if he gets to like 5 and goes to 8, you're going to have a pretty damn good argument. Now, of course, look, the one argument Brady always has, hey, I beat him. That's why I was in the playoffs, right? Like that, I beat him in his building, and I kicked his ass in the Super Bowl. But, you know, this is what this is about now. I guarantee you. I mean, you don't think Mahomes thinks about, hey, can I get to 8?
Oh, probably.
You know, can we get to 11? I mean, I guarantee he sits there and thinks about it. Of course he does. He's a nutcase in terms of how competitive he is. The guy's nuts. That's what makes him great. So, you know, I mean, look, Brady and Mahomes get along great. You think Brady wants him to go to 10 Super Bowls? Brady will throw himself in front of the team bus if it means keeping him from a 10 Super Bowl. Like, that's the way it is. That's the way these guys think. It's the way they operate. That's the way they are. So, listen, I am very interested to see how it all plays out this year. But this is a team that, again, I mean, they are right there. They are right among the Super Bowl favorites, and they're going, as long as they're healthy, they're going to be there in January. And, you know, it becomes, can you win 2 games, 3 games? I mean, that's what it is.
I was going back to the comment section of last week's video because we did talk a little bit about Andy Reid and his Coach of the Year odds, how he's at plus 10,000. He has the worst odds in the NFL to be the Coach of the Year. And look, I think there's some good reasoning behind it, right? As you mentioned, because like, what is he going to have to do to be Coach of the Year?
They'd have to go undefeated.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm serious. They'd have to go undefeated.
And I thought this comment was really interesting from Arrowhead Studio here on YouTube. They said Andy Reid is only credited when people try to take credit away from Patrick Mahomes, and I think that's really interesting. I think that there is some legs to that as well.
Andy, you know, it's one of those things too. Like when he was in, and it is a good point. It is an interesting point. When he was in Philadelphia, you know, they were really good for most entire tenure. They got to 1 Super Bowl, but the knock on him was he's terrible at time management, and they throw the ball too often, and they don't get over the hump in the NFC playoffs. Obviously, they did once. They lost in New England. But, like, they were favored in a lot of those NFC title games that they lost. And that was kind of the criticism of him, and somewhat fairly. And then, you know, look, he got to Kansas City, and it was lot of the same stuff. Like, now, granted, that team shouldn't be going to Super Bowls when he first got there, but like,
Right.
They make the playoffs, they lose. Mahomes elevated Andy in a way that, like, Andy went from being a really, really good coach to one of the greatest coaches of all time. Like, Andy went from being like, when they won the first Super Bowl, I remember one of the big talking points was like, okay, he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That was kind of like, okay, if he wins this game, he's going to the Hall of Fame. We're 5 years later now, and we're all sitting here like, is he maybe going to be regarded as the greatest coach of all time?
Right.
Yeah. And that's not taking anything away from him, but I would argue, look, football is the ultimate team sport. And, how important is Mahomes to Andy's success? How important is Spags to Andy's success? I mean, I got to tell you, didn't win any Super Bowls before Spags showed up. And by the way, I would argue, we always talk about Mahomes and Andy Reid is a duo, which for obvious reason.
Right.
I would argue that there is no single person who is more important than Mahomes winning the titles that he's won than Spagnuolo.
Yeah. I think so.
There's no way in hell they would have won in 2023 without him.
Right. That defense is insane.
He took a defense that had about 9,000 rookies in 2022 and won the Super Bowl with them. I mean, if they have a run-of-the-mill defensive coordinator.
Maybe like Bob Sutton, maybe.
He's not run-of-the-mill. I don't want to talk about Bob Sutton.
Sorry. I had to get a jab in there.
I remain offended by Bob Sutton's existence. Seems like a great guy, but oh my God. I'll never forget watching the 2018 title game, screaming at the television, do anything but cover two. Anything. Nope. Every play. Right down the field. No, but if they didn't have listen, God rest his soul, like Gunther Cunningham. But Gunther Cunningham was a good defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
He was a good coordinator. Like, if they have Gunther Cunningham, they probably win a Super Bowl.
Right.
Like Spagnuolo is, you could make a real legitimate argument as greatest defensive coordinator of all time. And if he's not the greatest, he's probably top three. Him, LeBeau, Monty Kiffin. Wade Phillips is up there. You could argue but he's way up the food chain.
Mm-hmm.
Way up he's unbelievable. Fangio's a great coordinator. It's just, if they have just a regular run-of-the-mill coordinator on defense, Pat's probably sitting on one Super.
Probably.
Probably. And nothing else changes. Probably sitting at one, and Andy's sitting there at one, who maybe two, maybe they win two, but they're not what they are. So it's all factored into a team game. But yeah, certainly, man, legacy-wise, the next 5 years are all about Mahomes and Andy and how much they can, build on what they've already done.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one to watch. The AFC is gonna be a little interesting as we had a trade come down on Monday. We'll talk about a little bit, but first, we got to pay some bills. We got to take a break, and we will be back on the other side to talk about what's going on in the AFC and much more. Chiefs.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
I'm BJ Kissel, founder and CEO of KC Sports Network. Emprise Bank has been with us from the beginning. They were our first network partner, and they believed in the vision of what we were building from the start. I can't speak to any other banks or companies and how they operate, but I can tell you from personal experience and based on the growth of the network you're listening to right now, that if you have banking needs, call our friends at Emprise Bank. We've worked with so many great people there over the years, from Vicky and Aggie to Andrea, Lori, Jackie, Deb, and Aaron, and not to mention so many others that not just supported KC Sports Network, but supported our KCSN Foundation as well. But the best thing that I know is that if I have a question or a problem, no matter how dumb the question is, I know who I'm going to call and who I'm going to talk to. And I know that I'm getting an answer from someone that I can trust. And I know that person is there to help us. That's why Emprise Bank has always been and continues to be our partner in Possible. And they can be yours too. You just have to reach out. If you have a banking need, whether it's business or personal, hit me up. I will connect you directly with the same people that have helped us build KCSN. And that's our friends at Emprise Bank.
Folks, there's nothing that beats relaxing on a hot summer day and watching some baseball. And there's no simpler way to get in on the action than by downloading the Pick 6 app from DraftKings. It's crazy simple. Just pick more or less on the stats for 2 or more of your favorite players, and boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. And the best part, Pick 6 is available right here in Missouri. Don't miss out on the fun. Don't settle for a smaller payout. Switch to Pick 6, and right now, new customers can get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Here's what you got to do. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN for new customers to get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit. Bonus picks expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see pick6.draftkings.com/promos. We've already had a ton of submissions for Beef and Bozo of the Week, Matt. I get
Really?
Yeah, I get an email every time one comes through, and I have already thought about shutting that notification off. But it's nice to know that you guys have your Beefs and Bozos. I think it might be like 90% Beef of the Week, and then we might have one Bozo. So get both of those in. We do appreciate that. Link is in my bio on Twitter. I also tweeted it out, so you can go find it that way as well. So on my Twitter at Tucker D. Franklin, go find it out. Matt, I believe, posted it as well, so you can go find it there at Matt Verderame. Find that out. If you have a beef, if you have a Bozo that you want to talk about or call out,
It can be anybody.
anyone in the world.
It can be a parent. It can be a significant other. It can be an in-law. It can be somebody that pissed you off at the gas station.
True.
It can be. I mean, anybody. Just keep in mind, we will be going through the submissions and picking one. So don't be offended if we don't pick yours.
Right.
But we want those submissions because
do.
we don't have to do work then. We can just pick one of yours, and then we can comment on some bozo that we don't even know and really tear into that person. So
It's true.
I'm excited that the submissions are coming in. I'm gonna need access to that so I can read it and have a good laugh.
Yeah, I'll share access to the sheet so they can
Send that one to my personal one and not my SI one.
I'll do that.
That's all I need. So SI being like, what the hell's bozo of the week?
Like, you guys can really get in on this.
It's illustrated. You don't want me to run a bozo of the week. So
I don't know. Never know until you try, until you ask. Maybe there'll be
that actually be a hilarious ask. Like, can that be a column every week?
Bozo of the week. It's just Aaron Rodgers every single week.
Oh my God, we'd be getting email from Team PR like nobody. Oh my God, I can't even imagine. You can't believe the amount of stuff that like these teams like consume on a daily basis.
Oh yeah, that is true.
And then get unbelievably upset about. Most teams are fairly good, but some of these teams get really.
Yeah.
What are you saying? What are you? It's like, okay, calm down. Somebody had to be 29th on the list. Breathe.
Right. Yeah. Yes. That's the thing. It's like somebody has to be there. Like somebody has got to be 31.
I will not say who it was because that's bad professionalism on my job or on my part. But we ran a piece last year where we ranked the 32 head coaches.
I'm sure that went well.
And I will say, because I know if somebody wants to go in and look back, it wasn't the person who was last on the list. It was a person like the last 8 or 9. And one of the teams was irate. I was like, what do you want us to do?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? It's a coach ranking. Who can really? Like, it's not like we drag some guy through the mud and then put his address out there. Like,
right.
Oh my God. Yeah. The team was just, they were very displeased with the whole situation. Like, come on, what do we do? You'd not believe how often that happens.
What's very funny, actually, right now, as we are recording, I did just get a submission for Beef of the Week.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Good.
so that's great. We're up to a respectable amount where we have plenty to sort through, and see. Grant from Overland Park, shout out Grant. I want to shout you out because I did see it come through. as we are recording.
Are people discriminating toward, like, is it for Bozo or beef of the week?
Yeah. I have the way it is, it's like first name, where you're from, and then it's B for Bozo. It's like a multiple choice select box, right? You B for Bozo, and then this one's for Bozo. So shout out.
Oh, nice.
Don't have very many one of those. So that's exciting.
I want one of these to come in like BJ from Overland Park.
That'd be so funny, dude. Actually, we just got another one. That is it, dude. I'm telling you, we are off the chain with the beef and Bozo of the week. We are off the chain. Sorry, let me pull it up so I can give a shout out to the person who did submit it. It's probably like my mom. It's like
That'd be amazing.
And Tucker for always recording podcasts. Steven from Omaha. Shout out to Steven from Omaha.
Nice. Out of stater.
Sorry, I'm just gonna read this one right now because it's short and sweet. Bozo of the week, Pittsburgh Steelers. That's what he just said. That's all he said.
Well, which is what
leads us into what we're going to talk about. So
yeah, we're gonna get right into it.
Shout out Steven. Shout out Steven for that one.
He's from Omaha. Guess what, bud? I don't
Here
know
it is.
of the week, but we're about to have a conversation.
Because a trade. Look, NFL.com is calling it a mega trade, just took place on the final day of June.
Yeah, it's not that, but that's fine.
Maybe mega in terms of amount of things that are in the trade. Yes, I'll give you that. But in terms of the things in the trade,
It's just the elderly being swapped.
yes, yes.
It's the people changing old folks' homes.
The Dolphins are sending cornerback Jalen Ramsey, tight end Jonnu Smith, and a 2027 7th-round pick to the Steelers in exchange for safety Minkah Fitzpatrick and a 2027 5th-round pick. Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero reported that on Monday. The teams have since renounced this trade. Miami previously paid Ramsey $4 million this offseason and tacked on another $3 million to facilitate the trade, while Pittsburgh is giving Ramsey a $1.5 million raise and covering the rest of his $26.6 million salary this season. Rappaport and Pelissero had reported on April 15th that Miami and Ramsey mutually agreed to explore trade options. He didn't move before the draft, and team mini camp and team activities, he didn't attend any of those, and now he is in Pittsburgh with Minkah Fitzpatrick going back to Miami. One of my favorite things, DraftKings is really good at job at this. Shout out to our friends at DraftKings. They do a really their social media is pretty funny. I think they've got good people running it. I do love always when like these trades happen or like a free agent signing happens and they're like, wow, look at the Super Bowl odds. The Super Bowl odds have changed. They've deleted the tweet since then, but it was like the Steelers Super Bowl odds plus 8,000 after the trade. Plus 8,000. So nothing changed for either of the teams. And I thought that was really funny. Maybe they lied and that's why they deleted it. But I do think it's very funny always where it's just like, here's the Super Bowl odds before and after. And they're just the same because like that trade literally did not move the needle.
Well, I don't understand. First of all, there's a lot I don't understand just in life in general. But
yeah, I'm with you.
Two things I don't get. Can you explain what the fuck the Steelers are doing?
No.
What is this offseason? It's like, well, we traded for Jalen Ramsey, but we got rid of Minkah Fitzpatrick. We traded for DK Metcalf, but we traded away George Pickens.
Right.
Like, we added 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers and, like, Jonnu Smith, who until last year has been, like, just the most guy tight end of all time, like tight end 18. Like, I don't understand what the fuck they're doing. Like, who cares? So great, you added a corner who's gonna be 31 in October and got rid of your 28-year-old all-pro safety who, like, granted, was not great last year. So I get it. But you're not better at it. Like, is there any argument that they're better at it? And people are like, well, they've got Slay and they've got Porter. Oh, by the way, Slay's 34 years old. So it's like, well, now they're going to put Ramsey in the slot. Oh, good, where he doesn't normally play. I can't wait to watch Jalen Ramsey on a two-way go with Rashee Rice. That should be fun in a playoff game. Like, Jalen Ramsey was getting cooked by Travis Kelce a few years ago. Remember that in Arrowhead?
Yeah.
Jalen Ramsey's not good anymore.
Yeah.
hate to tell everybody this. If the Steelers were amassing this team in 2020, damn, unbelievable game. Not that year. Like, I don't know what they're. It's the weirdest. It's like the Alex Jones meme, right? Or it's like 45 days later and it's the same. He's just tan.
It's so funny. That is one of my favorite memes of all time.
It's hilarious. And it's exact. You're like, they made all these moves to just be the exact same team 45 days later, but like slightly better at quarterback. I don't know. It feels like with that amount of activity, you should be significantly better. And then also, by the way, there's all these reports now that like they might just trade TJ Watt.
Yeah, I did see that. Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the season, in full transparency, when they lost to Baltimore that night, I wrote a big column saying they should trade Pickens, they should trade Watt, they should completely tear this thing to the ground. And it's like, well, as it turns out, they might trade Pickens and Watt, but not do anything to substantially get better or worse and just be the exact same team. I don't know. On the other side of the coin, for the Dolphins, not to repeat, what the fuck are they doing? Like, what is it? Guys, get a draft pick.
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, well, we got a 5th rounder 2 years from now. Like, wasn't Johnny Smith by himself worth the draft pick? Like, he had like 800 yards a year ago. And then Ramsey, look, they were never going to get anything crazy for him, but even like a 6th rounder or something, like,
right.
I don't get it. So like, now you're worse. Who the hell is the number 1 corner on the Dolphins?
No, I couldn't tell you. I don't even know who.
You guys got to be brutal. Like, who?
Yeah, I have no clue.
Like, right now, I'll look up the depth chart real quick. Right now, and it's bad. Like, this is my job, and I couldn't even tell you off the top of my head who the hell is starting for them at corner.
No.
Whoever it is not great. I can tell you that much. It is Storm Duck.
No
Martin
way.
Burns and Kadir Koho. Good luck, guys.
Never heard. I've only heard of Storm Duck because his name's freaking awesome.
They're brutal, that team defensively.
Yeah, that is really tough. So, like, their offense isn't good either. Like, that's the other part of it.
Oh, no, they're not. No, they stink. I mean, they have Waddle and Hill, and now Pharaoh Brown is the tight end. And, like, Devon A-Chain's great, except for the fact he's going to play like 7 games if history says anything.
Right.
I don't know what in God's name. Like, the interior of the offensive line is James Daniels, Aaron Brewer, and a 2nd-round pick who we'll see, obviously. Patrick Paul and Austin Jackson are the tackles. Like, this team, they're winning like 5 games.
Yeah.
Get picks. By the way, here's another thing. Trade Tyreek Hill.
I was going to say, how many years does he have left on his contract?
I will double check. I think this is it.
Well, if this is it, I mean, what this is a conversation that I assume might happen eventually this year. We might be early on it. What would you give up for Tyreek Hill if you're the Kansas City Chiefs?
So here's the answer, by the way. He signed for this year and next year. However, okay, next year's cap hit is $51.2 million. And if they cut him, they save 36.3. I'm going to go ahead and guess he's not going to be on the team next year.
Yeah.
And then his cap number, if you were to trade for him, his base salary is 10 this year and 29 next year. Here's what's going to happen if a team acquires him in a trade. They're going to extend him by a year or so, and they're going to knock down that base salary number.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. What would I like if I were the Chiefs? Now, okay, let's live in a world where they needed him. Okay, let's say that they were like, all right, you know what? Let's bring him back. How old is he right now? Is he 30 or 31? He's
31. Just turned 31 in March.
I mean, with that contract, I'd probably try to get him like a 3rd-round pick.
I was gonna think 4th, but they're probably
Okay, yeah, mid-round pick. Like,
yeah.
Listen, I gotta tell you, if he gets traded after this season and Hollywood Brown leaves, I would absolutely call them up. You don't think he'd want to go back there?
Yeah, right.
Like, God, he would walk there.
Yeah.
I mean, he would be, and then like, oh, Kelce's leaving. Well, Tyreek Hill's back. You know, like
right. Yeah.
You know, I mean, I would but the point is, he's not going to be there after this season. He's not. There's no world Miami's sitting there paying him $52 million. So, like, trade him. You're going to get more for him now because he's got 2 years left to control. Like, trade him.
Yeah.
Trade him. You know, like, if you got anybody else, like Zach Sealer, like, it's over. They had 2 years where they tried to contend. They completely failed to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're going to have to rebuild and fire everybody here in the next 2 years. Like, just accept it. This, by the way, shout out to me for one of the occasional times in my life I wasn't wrong. I was alone on a hilltop. I should say alone. There were other people agreeing with me. Screaming, do not extend Tua. This is a terrible idea. And then when he got extended, you see all these people like, oh, good for Tua. Like, he deserves it. No, he doesn't.
Mm-mm.
He's fine. I'm not saying he's awful, but, like, if you were looking at the Dolphins cap situation, this was coming. Yeah. And I got to tell you, Tua with Jalen Waddle and nobody else, not exactly enticing.
No, it's not. Did they take a quarterback too this year in the drafts, or am I making that up? They have Zach Wilson. Sorry, that's what I was thinking.
Just got married. Kudos.
Shout out to Zach Wilson. I watched the Jets Hard Knocks the other day. I told you this. Oh, dude. Aaron Rodgers, they have like a whole 5 minutes a clip of him talking about how he saw a UFO one time with this dude he went to Cal with. So funny. First time I've seen that. There's like a Vizio channel that's like the NFL channel, and all they do is play old Hard Knocks. And like I got to see Rocket Ismail break his neck in 2001 or something like that. And I got to see Aaron Rodgers talk about how he saw a UFO one time with this dude from Cal, and I couldn't help but think that, like, oh, you were high. You were so high is what happens. Like,
I look forward to week 7 in Pittsburgh when they're like 3-4. That'll be fun.
Quinn Ewers is who they signed. Sorry, that was.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, my thing with those two teams, that's all I have on this. But, like, if you looked at the AFC right now, I'm not saying who's the worst teams. If I gave you the AFC, all 16 of them, and I said to you, which teams have the least clear direction moving forward?
Ooh.
Those two teams have to top the list.
Yeah.
So it's hilarious they did business together. Like, what is this? Like, Tennessee sucks, but I know what they're doing. They got Borgonzi at GM.
They have direction.
Yes. You know what I mean? Like, they've got a direction.
Mm-hmm.
The Raiders are... Well, the Raiders, I would argue, have a little bit of an identity crisis because Carroll's 73 and, like, but, like, I at least know what they're trying to do. Right. They're trying to reestablish a culture and, like, go far. I don't know that I would do it that way, but fine.
Right.
The Dolphins and Steelers, like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
You're not young, but you're not contending. Your cap's kind of a disaster. Like, you're not going to have a top 5 pick, but you're also not going to win a playoff game. Like, what are you doing? It's very bizarre. I mean, I guess you could maybe see one of the Colts in there, you know, like to some extent. But
Browns. I throw the Browns too.
Yeah, I feel like the Colts are kind of a victim though, just like they just drafted a quarterback that's not good.
Yeah,
like the Dolphins, it's like, what is this? Like, just tear it down. It's over. And then both teams, like, they got on the phone this morning and were like, listen, we're not any good, but we're not terrible either. You're not very good. You're not terrible either. You guys want to make a trade that doesn't make either one of us any good? Like, yeah, sure, let's do that. And here we are.
I always do a trade with my buddies in our Dynasty League where we all just, like, swap third-round picks. We'll get, like, 6 of us involved, and we're like, all right, let's all swap our third-round picks in 3 years. And that's kind of what it feels like a little bit. The Jets direction, how do you feel about the Jets direction?
I mean, not good because it's Jets. But, new coach, they're going to kind of have a rebuild year here, which is the 75th rebuild year in the franchise's 60-year history. But I get it. I mean, their direction sucks, but yes, they're not good and probably not going to be for a while. I just miss some of these teams.
Yeah, I mean, like Cleveland re-signing Myles Garrett and then drafting 2 quarterbacks and drafting 2 running backs, and they have a quarterback room that is 5 deep of the most mediocre quarterbacks you've ever seen in your life.
It truly is a gift. Honestly, like, just speaking of gifts, the team that's been the poster child for this for the last 10 years are the Saints.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. And then by some miracle, Derek Carr decided to retire, which is the best thing that's ever happened to that team because it's going to make him terrible. Right. But it cracks me up to no end that the Saints have just done everything imaginable, pushing money, cap hell, just to have a shot to win 9 games.
Right. Because their division sucks.
What are you doing? God, and Carl Peterson, by the way, did this for the last 10 years he was in Kansas City. We'll sign Damon Heward. It's fine. We'll compete for the 6 seeds. We can get annihilated in the wild card rounds. God, nobody will. I'll tell you quietly. Oh, not quietly. Oh, maybe a little quietly this offseason. A team that has been notorious is Dallas.
Oh, yeah.
Dallas has done this for fucking ever. We're just going to be total bullshit, but just good enough. But you can't really get pissed. It's been good times.
Yeah. No, it's been a pretty interesting offseason. I'm excited for everything. Maybe we'll do as we get closer, Matt and I will organize our thoughts. Maybe we could do more of a division by division preview as we roll around here. That could be a little fun.
It's not going to take me long to organize my thoughts.
There we go.
3 of them a week.
I cannot wait till we get to the NFC South. What I do love, sorry to go back to your Saints point, the Saints point about them is just every year it's well, maybe we could win the division because this division stinks. And they always have somewhat of a little bit well, maybe we could win it. I guess we can. We got to try to win it.
Remember last year when they started 2-0, scored 50 points a game?
And yeah, everyone thought the Saints were actually good. Yeah.
People like Clint Kubiak, people were writing, think pieces tell you what, Clint Kubiak, and then they just promptly went. They were 5-12.
Then it was oh, the Cowboys sucked ass.
So actually, it turns out the Panthers are one of the worst teams ever witnessed, and the Cowboys are terrible, and the Saints are also terrible. That's always one of my favorite things. Is there's always a team the first 2 or 3 weeks of the year that just inevitably has some ridiculous start to the season. You're what's going on? It's when Darnold was on Carolina.
Yes.
And they started 3-0. And people can Google this. There were real human beings that matter writing that Darnold might be the MVP of the league.
Uh-huh.
He was benched by week 11 for PJ Walker.
Walker.
Every year, man, there's some team. I always try to find the team. I'll look at the schedule. Usually you can kind of suss it out if you look close enough. Oh, wait, hold on. This team sucks, but they open home against Cleveland and New Orleans.
Yeah.
And they're 2-0. They look great. And it's they finished 4-13.
Yeah. All right. Last thing before we head out of here. You did say that the TJ Watt wants out. I did just see an article pop up that said the Steelers have no intention of trading TJ Watt. They remain focused on extending him and they want him to end his career there. Okay.
Maybe they should have focused on that after they traded for 31-year-old Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah. Probably should have focused on that a little bit harder, folks.
Imagine how pissed you got to be at TJ Watt. We want our new contract, and they're giving Jalen Ramsey a raise.
The corpse of Jalen Ramsey.
79-year-old Jalen Ramsey's getting a raise. Oh, that's unbelievable.
Actual last thing here. The NFL Top 100 Players of 2025 started on Monday. Players number, also, I think it's funny they did this. They just were here's 199. They just gave up those 2 and that was it for it. But Ladd McConkey 100, Leonard Williams 99. Well, look, as this goes on, I'm sure we'll talk a little. We'll keep you guys up to date how the list is going on. But this list, as Matt and I talked about prior to the recording of this podcast, I think we both publicly talked about it, is just one of these things where it's just a big old nothing burger that they try to make something.
Okay, if there was a Bozo of the month, this list is it.
Yeah, that's a good call.
That list, I've already seen 3 lists come out because they leak out but they don't tell you what, because the players are the only ones who vote. So the players will pick. And the way they do it is they vote for top 20, and then they just figure out points wise the top 100. I've seen 3 lists already where Mahomes isn't even on the list. And meanwhile, there's 12 guys from one team on there. And gee, I wonder who that guy plays for. It's
Vita Vea number 3. Oh, I wonder who this guy is.
It's so bad. It's so bad. And they do it every year. And like when it first started, I feel like the first couple of years, like the players actually gave like real thought to it. And now they're just like, I'll just put my buddies on there. It's cool. And it's like, okay, well, this is terrible. And I don't want to watch this anymore. Like,
I'm reading a little bit more about this. The reveal is underway, and they're revealing on X and NFL Plus.
That's how you know it's really good. It went from being like a thing that they promoted the hell out of for NFL Network once a week in prime time to they're just throwing it out on Twitter now.
Yeah.
You're like, we can't even defend this. I don't know. Sky Moore 71st. I don't know.
Imagine. The top 10 will be announced on Sunday, September 1st at 8 p.m.
Oh, thank God.
Live on NFL Network. Top 10 gets NFL Network.
Great. Can't wait. I can't wait to see whether it's Allen or Lamar at number 2, and whichever, just watch the fan base just go absolutely berserk. I also look forward to Mahomes being like 27th on the list this year.
Oh, dude.
And then going for like 5,300 yards this season would be fun.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, watch like they like rank him like 27th, then Mahomes comes out, changes his number to 27. just here we go.
Right. Yeah. No, he'll be number 15. That'd be great. That'd be great actually if he's 15.
Yeah. The whole thing's ridiculous. It's one of the worst things anybody does all year long. It's so shame. Like, hey guys, how about this? How about putting in a rule you can't vote for your own teammate?
Great idea.
How about that? Like maybe you'll have an actual list. But like, nah, it's just easier to just have these guys write in like their own guy. Hats on them and spell the name of their own teammate right. Like,
don't they do this in like week 13 of the season too?
It's awful. And this is why I said to you off there. This is why, like with Deion Sanders years ago, it's like the players should vote the players into the Hall of Fame. The writers don't know what to talk about. Bro, if the players voted in the players to the Hall of Fame, like Andre Rison be in the Hall of Fame. Okay, like that's the problem with it. Okay, or like as a writer, if I ever vote for the Hall of Fame, I don't give a shit if you were the guy who paid at the club. Bro, like I'm telling you right now, that guy first ballot.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean some of these things are just outrageous.
So by the time you guys are listening to this podcast, you will already know the 98th and 97th ranked player. Maybe even the. Are they just doing 2 at a time? That's insane, actually. If they're just going 2 at a time every day. I kind of love it. I respect it. I respect the hustle.
So it was just a Saturday afternoon on Twitter, just leaking it out. Like number 37. Awesome. Yeah.
All right. I think that's going to do it for that football show for this day, whenever you're listening to this podcast. We appreciate you guys sticking with us all the way until the very end. And look, you guys got to thank us for Trey Smith signing an extension, because you know that happened since we pre-recorded this episode early. You got to know that's what's going to happen. So we do appreciate it. That's why we didn't talk about it on today's show. That's why we'll talk about it on Friday, as we will have another episode for you, and we'll have Beef of the Week, Bozo of the Week, Power Rankings. You know, we might have to move Power Rankings to like a Wednesday episode, you know, just so we're not as loaded. So we're not doing 1.5-hour episodes every Friday.
Beef of the Week, Bozo of the Week, and Power Rankings.
No, that's the whole show. We don't even talk about
football. Right. All right, then. Yeah, well, we may have to reconfigure here after July 4th.
That's true. But that's what we have as of now. So we appreciate you guys hanging out all the way to the end of the podcast. Drop a like, drop a subscribe to become a ball knower. That's going to do it. Thank you to our partners, Ben Holiday, Bottled and Bond Bourbon Holiday Distillery. Go sign up for the KCSN Golf Tournament. GiveButter.com/KCSN Golf. Go check that out. 10 more teams remain. Go grab them. We'll see you then.
Cool.